with me, your host, Sana. Now, today's conversation, listeners, is one that touches a part of our human experience that many shy away from. But it's real, it's raw, and absolutely necessary. We often say that the strongest human instinct is the will to survive. But what happens when something even stronger overrides it? When hopelessness becomes so overwhelming that survival no longer feels like an option? My guests today know this battle firsthand. Listeners, meet my guest Deborah. She has not only faced this storm herself but now stands as a beacon for others, spreading awareness, education, and hope to those who are overcome by this weight of hopelessness. Alongside her partner Brian, a fellow survivor, they have made it their mission to save lives by sharing their personal stories and actionable paths to healing, including the role of EMDR therapy, support systems, and just simply talking to someone. This is not just about the statistics and the numbers that we see, listeners. It's about real people, real pain, and real healing. So let's lean into this uncomfortable but highly essential conversation because the sooner we talk about it, the sooner we start saving lives. So, with that, Deborah and Brian, welcome to the show, and I'm really honored to have both of you with us today.
Thank you very much, Sana. It's very nice to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Deborah and Brian. And Deborah, you have said something profound that suicide is not selfish, but it's rather an act of being completely overcome by hopelessness. So, could you help us understand what hopelessness actually feels like for someone who's actually going through it?
Well, that is a very deep and a very dark feeling.
Yeah.
And it actually, at some point, it gets behind you and it pushes you. It's trying to push you over the edge. Hopelessness, when there's just no hope, there's no light. You see no light at all at the end of the tunnel. And the feeling of despair, you're just drowning in it. And it's not that you want to die per se, you just want to stop the pain. And that's the only option that you have. Uh, I was not a drug addict or an alcoholic, or I was just trying to live my life. And when things became overwhelming, when they became too challenging for me, the suicide ideation that I had toyed with as a child from age 10 to 12 when I actually attempted the first time. And then at 19, now that was way back in 1972. But when I survived in 72, I then had to fight hopelessness to not do it because it had become a habit to fantasize about this. It was my way of medicating because, like I said, I wasn't an alcoholic or a drug addict. There was no other way to ease the pain. So, yeah, so then got to the point where I had to fight hopelessness not to take my own life. And I did that between age 19 and 62.
Oh, that's quite a long way to go, Deborah. But
Yeah.
kudos to you. Kudos to you and to Brian as well. I'll come to Brian. Brian, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, talking about hopelessness, that was exactly what I experienced. I had been a caregiver for my mother, and after struggling with feelings of, my trying to find my own value, my own purpose in life, I had really found it and really leaned on being a caregiver for my mother. And then when she was hospitalized and found to have cancer so advanced that it was untreatable. I was so thoroughly crushed, and yeah, and I fought with those feelings, but eventually it overwhelmed me to the point where the only future I could imagine for myself was so awful that uh, that taking my own life seemed like it would be the kindest thing to me and to those I love. And so, yeah, Deborah talking about this feeling pushing you. Well, it literally pushed me over the edge because I attempted suicide by jumping. And if you knew me and knew how I am not a risk taker. I am not a daredevil in any way. I don't even like rides at the, at the fair or at the carnival rides. Um,
Okay.
so for me to attempt to kill myself by jumping was very uncharacteristic.
Wow. Thank you to both of you for sharing that. Um, I'm realizing that many of us may have unknowingly brushed against that edge of ourselves, even if briefly. There have been moments where we kind of, just would like to sleep or maybe lie on our beds, doing nothing, thinking nothing, just staring on the ceiling with hopelessness. But the extremity of it, to the point that um, you get to have those thoughts of suicide, uh, that is really, really difficult. But at the same time, it's really encouraging to talk about it, because maybe at this time so many out there would be thinking about it. So before we talk about the solutions, Deborah and Brian, what are some early warning signs that someone, or even we ourselves, might be slipping into this space?
Yes, if you are thinking about, if you're concerned about yourself, if you already have that level of self awareness, and you're able to realize that you are going down what we call the rabbit hole, then yeah, it's wise to reach out to a friend or a relative or someone you can trust, to talk to if you are feeling that yourself. Um, for me, when I made the decision in when I was 19, I was just fed up with everything, and so it was a snap decision. It was, I'm going to do this now. I'm done. I'm tired of fighting this situation that I was in. And yeah, so I just grabbed all the pills I could find and washed it all down with a bottle of vodka. They didn't know if I would wake up. Uh, I remember coming to at one point when I was throwing up, because that's what they'll do. They'll try to empty the stomach, right? And yeah, apparently I was out for a good 10, 12 hours, and then I finally did wake up. I was very angry when I woke up. But yeah, if you're feeling it yourself, then if you have that level of awareness, then to reach out to someone would be the thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And Deborah, not sure whether it's a right question or not. You have been uh, dealing with this, since the age of 19, and after so many years and decades, what do you think has changed around the discussions on mental health, hopelessness, suicidal ideation, um, whether it is going in the good or right direction, or there is something that is yet to be addressed upon, which you strongly believe should be uh, uh, ideally in the system, or at least in the people who are uh, you know, accompanying, let's say us, what's, kind of getting into this rabbit hole?
Yes, what I want to express to the answer that question is there's a fine line between prevention and intervention. Uh, I have put together a program that I call Pure Prevention because I want to bring it to students before puberty. So I want to bring this information. It's a framework to help a person see how they fit into the world around them and how to make good decisions, good choices. And prevention has to be administered before a person is considering suicide as an option. If someone is considering suicide as an option, now you are in the intervention phase. And currently, and it is becoming more and more obvious to some of the caregivers today, that this line between prevention and intervention has been very blurred. And they see it as if you're driving down and you see someone standing on the edge of the bridge and you stop and you go and you talk to them, you're preventing a suicide. And that is true, you are. But you are employing an intervention activity.
Mm.
Whereas my prevention program is to be administered globally. This goes to all children. It doesn't matter whether they're coming from a broken home or the best home on the block. The point is, this should be taught to students the same way we teach them to cross the street properly. This is how we will keep them safe from ever considering suicide as an option if they understand the framework of the world and life and how it is structured and how they fit into it. So that when they're frustrated or they're discouraged or they're feeling like they're fake, imposter syndrome is very prominent with preteens and teens. So this is where I want to be. I want to get ahead of it and stop it before it even becomes a thought.
Mm. Yeah, that's something which personally I was not aware about, Deborah, and it's really good that you are trying to get this into the primary education as well for children and teenagers as well, especially in today's age of uh, kind of dominance of social media, and especially post pandemic, the I don't know, it's an epidemic of loneliness. um so that is absolutely commendable. And also, we were talking about this before the beginning of the podcast. Deborah, how did you meet with Brian?
A very good friend of mine was aware that I was working with suicide prevention and specifically with youth. And she was very good friends with Brian's mother. And she called and told me that Brian had attempted suicide and that he was in the hospital. I had never met Brian. Now, Brian knew her. Her name was Rosemary. Brian knew her from because of her being friends with his mother. So that's how I got to meet Brian and hear his story. And his is a unique journey from deciding to end it, thinking that you're doing the right thing for everybody around you, and then being determined enough to walk 10 minutes in the fresh, crisp December air, making sure nobody looks at him, not making eye contact with anyone. So that is extremely rare that a person is that determined and then just goes and does it.
Ah, wow. And Brian, how has this all uh, been for you? I mean, um, any changes in the way you think about life, about the hard, um, you know, phase of this life? You know, how it can be hard, but it sometimes can be really, really um, joyous as well. I mean, what do you think after all this, after meeting with Deborah, after also working, partnering with her in this noble deed?
Well, when I first woke up in the hospital, um, I I was not I wasn't happy or disappointed that I had survived. I wasn't quite sure what to think about it. And I was asked early on if I'm happy that I survived. And I said yes, only because I knew that's what the person asking me wanted to hear. It wasn't until, some time in the hospital. I was in intensive care for 5 days. And then it was a few days after being moved just to the regular trauma recovery ward, um, then and being visited by friends and family, including, and maybe most importantly, my two older brothers, who I had never had a good relationship with. We're very different people. And they showed me such a wonderful, non-judgmental, loving attitude. They were so glad that they hadn't lost me. Um, and my friends visiting me and telling me about times that I had made a difference in their lives that I had no idea it was that important to anyone. And I it was like a slap upside the head, but wow, my depression and anxiety and negative self-worth um had lied to me so badly that it just about killed me. And I had been thinking that I wanted to try and use my experience to help other people. And of course, when I met Deborah and when she told me about this thing that she's doing and that she would especially like uh, a man as a business partner to speak to other men and boys, and to have that male female dynamic. Uh, I was absolutely on board.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, and uh, that is so essential to address. You know, it's kind of a beautiful intersection of the masculine and the feminine energy here, as Deborah rightly mentioned just before the podcast. Um, uh, and Deborah, you mentioned EMDR as a game changer in healing. So, can you walk us through how EMDR helped you confront the root of hopelessness? I mean, why was it so different compared to years of other therapy?
Yes, that is, I am so grateful that my last therapist introduced me to the EMDR, and it absolutely healed me. I am a totally different person. I had the PTSD symptoms, and I also had severe anxiety. And when I started with the EMDR, you get to a point where you really see how messed up you really are. And I walked into my therapist's office one time and I said, "Are we trying to change the spots on a leopard here? Because I'm realizing that these things were entrenched in me since infancy. I was having recollections of being an infant in diapers." And she said to me, "Deborah, those spots were never yours to begin with. Your parents projected those onto you, and we're going to take them off one at a time." And at that moment, it was like the sun came out, and I felt just this warm glow around me. And for the first time, I had hoped that I was really going to heal and I was actually going to be able to live the balance of my life. Now you have to understand, I was 62 years old at the time, and that was 10 years ago. So I have had a decade of living like a normal person. It's just so wonderful. And yeah, it's only been 10 years and it feels like just yesterday that I finished that therapy. And now I'm to the point where if I do feel any distress or I start to feel um, just sadder than I should, then I have been taught to do certain things to bring back the EMDR process for myself. So it is just, I just can't say enough about it. But it has to be administered properly and it has to be the person taking it has to be open to it because it is scary. It is, it is just a bit scary when you start digging around in that stuff, but it is so worth it. Oh, I just can't. Every morning I wake up, I go, wow, I get another day.
Oh. I can sense that childlike joy and happiness in your voice, Deborah. Really.
Mhm.
Hope our listeners also can get a hint of that. It's really, really, it sounds really, really hopeful. And what advice would you give someone who hasn't yet found their healing path, who is still on that journey to figure out?
Keep looking. Don't give up. Do not give up. Keep looking because it will come to you if you keep reaching out and keep going. One of the one of the slogans that we have is wait one more day. Our website has a video, a music video entitled Wait One More Day. And the fellow that wrote it for us, um, Jason Slay, was just fantastic. I wrote to him and I told him, what we were doing and why, and he just put that together. It's so beautiful. And so when things are at the darkest, that's when you want to stop and wait one more day. Take a break. Just say, okay, I'm feeling this way, and I understand the sun will come up tomorrow morning. Get a good sleep and readdress the issues with a fresh mind and clear eyes.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Brian, your words on this for anyone.
Yeah, that's a yeah. Wait one more day is such a big one because um, we don't want to. We talk about Deborah and I talk about intellectual development. That is
Mm.
not to discount feelings. Feelings are powerful. Feelings are real. Feelings are important. Feelings also change quite drastically based on some pretty small things. That whole thing of, you're not you when you're hungry, or I'm sorry what I said when I was hungry, or you got to go to the bathroom. And somebody's trying to talk to you when you seem like you're really rude and you're brushing them off. It's just because you need to go to the bathroom. So your feelings, your emotions, and can change quite drastically in a very short span of time. And so our concept to wait one more day, if you feel emotion pushing you to make a choice, whatever that might be. Certainly, we talk about um, waiting one more day before you really attempt to end your own life. But for anything, before you make a big decision, before you enter a relationship, really think about it because those feelings, what you're feeling now, may not be the same what you're feeling in an hour or a day. So important things and other big important things. If you are feeling really, really, really down, reach out to people. Um, I felt like I didn't want to reach out to people because I thought they have their own problems. They don't need to hear from mine. Well, they would much rather hear my problems than hear my eulogy. Um, the second most important thing, if you as a a fairly healthy person see somebody and their personality change and suddenly they're becoming so much more withdrawn, reach out to them because they might be feeling like nobody wants to hear my problems. So if you're the friend or the family member, you got to be the one to reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. So before we wrap up, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, Deborah and Brian, and explore more about MEDD and the wonderful resources and help that you're providing out for all the people, what will be the best way to do that?
Go to our website, which is survivorsofhopelessness.com, and everything is there. At the bottom of that website, you will find that music video I mentioned. You will also find a button that will take you to our first website that we built, which has our very first video that we made in 2020 when we were seeking funding to publish the workbooks that are now available on the Survivors of Hopelessness website. So we have come a long way since 2020 and we continue the journey. And we are open. You can send us a email from the other website. If you go to the very bottom, there's a button that says reach out, and you can email us from there, and we will certainly get back to you.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the links and details in the show notes. And Deborah and Brian, I want to sincerely thank both of you for your courage, your openness today, the hope you both offer to all of us, because conversations like these, they're not easy. They're desperately needed,
Yes.
globally needed. So thank you to both of you.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you, Sana. I wholeheartedly agree.
So, to all the listeners, if today's episode resonated with you or someone you love, please know that there is help, there is healing, and there is hope. You don't have to wait until you feel completely overcome to reach out. Visit Deborah and Brian's website at survivorsofhopelessness.com to learn more, hear their full stories, and explore the resources that could be life saving. I'll definitely mention all the links and all the details in the show notes for you to easily access. And as always, let's continue to have these mindful, compassionate conversations together, people. Until next time, this is your host, Sana, reminding you, even in the darkest moments, a single conversation, a single phone call, a single word of I'm there with you and I am not alone can be the light someone needs. Thank you.